All right. Cool. You said your name was Preston.
Correct.
Preston.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. David,
Nice to meet you.
great to meet you. And you and some friends are in the student union handing out literature to folks that are already registered, right? That's kind of your audience from what I got from Jill.
Not necessarily. We are asking people that if they're interested in being registered, if they already aren't, we are signing people up to register to vote as
so
well.
you're doing that too.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And what is the other goal that you have?
The goal is to raise awareness about Issue 1, the ballot initiative coming up in November, also referred to as Citizens Not Politicians.
Okay. This is great because I'm not from here.
Okay.
And so I have no, like, I'm pretty new to Issue 1
Okay.
because it's like a local issue, right?
Yes and
For
no.
Ohio?
It is a local issue, but it's a statewide initiative, but it deals with an issue that multiple states deal with.
Okay.
So I'm sure even if you're from another state, I'm sure you may have heard of this issue because we're definitely not the only state that deals with it.
Citizens, not politicians.
Correct.
Okay. In like a tweet-sized statement, if you could describe what the proposal is, or tell me about it, in maybe like a brief way.
So pretty much what it does is it reforms the way that we redraw our congressional districts. Right now, the party in power in the state house is able to do that, and they do something called gerrymandering, where they'll draw them to benefit themselves, benefit the party in power, and this would replace that with an independent bipartisan commission that would be chosen by retired judges and other respected officials to draw the maps instead in a less partial way.
And that's where the citizens come in.
Yes.
Instead of the politicians.
Correct.
Being able to do the redistricting and gerrymandering.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Why is this an important issue?
This is an important issue because if you look at our state house, it's very solidly the party in power has a significant majority, more than I think the people of Ohio actually support them. The party in power has about, I would say, maybe 70 to 80% of the Ohio General Assembly, when in reality I would say only maybe barely half maybe of voters support them, and that's because they've redrawn districts in their favor. They've split opposition districts in half to benefit them, and multiple other tactics to help them.
So it sounds like the problem is, from your point of view, that the representation is not as accurate as it could be.
Correct.
As far as having the will of the people being represented?
Correct.
Okay. How do you know that passing this proposition is going to lead to a better representation of the people's desires?
I think almost any alternative that doesn't have to do with the party in power deciding is going to be a substantial alternative. This has been done in 4 other states. Ohio would be the 5th state to do this. And I think if you look at the other states, their congressional districts and state house districts are significantly more split, which means they're closer. I think they're a lot more representative of how their voters actually are leaning towards.
Okay.
So I would forward that as my evidence for why this is a suitable alternative.
Because it seems to be working in other states.
Correct.
That have done it.
Correct.
Okay. How are we measuring this? How are we measuring success?
I would measure it by, as long as districts are more competitive. If you looked at if you look at the way they're they're drawn so weirdly. Like we had a district that in the last Congress looked like a duck. There's a district I think this year that is connected just by a little bridge. If you look at the way they're drawn, if they're drawn in a much less partial way, a lot more organized way, in a way that's obviously not trying to disregard certain constituencies, that would definitely be a start.
Okay. How would it have to be drawn for you to be satisfied that it's fair?
In a way that is more representative of the population changes and not the voter demographics.
How would you go about doing that? Finding out.
Well, typically districts are redrawn every time a census is taken. So if a certain part of Ohio gains people, then that district will represent that, and if it loses, the opposite. Um, so as long as we're going based on the census, that is what I would use to determine where and how we draw our districts.
Okay, so it's kind of like, I suspect you would think it's more of an objective way to decide. It's
Correct.
by
Correct.
population that we
Correct.
get numbers that we get from the census.
Yeah, well, we already use numbers, the census numbers, to determine like how many districts we're going to get, how big a district has to be in a certain area. So, like, the district that represents Dayton is smaller than a district that represents a very rural area.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, the census would still be taken into account to determine where and how to draw these districts.
Okay. Scale 0 to 100, how confident are you that passing issue 1 will reach the goals that you have?
75. 75.
75?
Yeah. I'm not going to say that it's going to fix everything because I think that'd be ridiculous. But like I said, I think it's a significantly better alternative compared to what we have now.
Okay. What could you find out that would cause you to go up in confidence?
I mean, the amendment's already been approved, so there's not really anything that can be done to change it. So, I mean, I guess I hate to sound like I'm being obtuse, but not really anything.
This has already been approved?
Yes, this has already been approved for the ballot.
Oh, to be on the ballot.
Yes, to be on the ballot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm asking is, like, how confident are you? Are you at 75% that if it is passed, it will reach the goals that you have?
Yes.
Okay. So, what would cause you to? Oh, okay. I think I understand now. If
Yes.
it were to be, maybe I'm not clear. Can you explain what would cause your confidence to go from 75 to say 80 or higher?
Well, since this is a ballot initiative, the rules and the implications of it are set in stone. It's not like voting for a candidate where something could happen to them or they could change their position or something where it causes you to lose distrust in them. What's in this initiative is set. So as long as it gets passed, what is in there now is going to go into effect.
Okay. So
Now, I mean, I'm not for sure how the rules of the legislature would apply. I mean, there may be a way that the state legislature could amend it in a way. I could be wrong about that. If something like that were to happen, then maybe that could change my confidence. But I'm pretty sure everything is set in stone.
Okay. So it sounds like you're saying that there's nothing that could be done to cause you to go up in confidence. That passing issue 1 will reach the goals that you have about gerrymandering.
Between now and election day, I would say no. Obviously, if it passes and the results are more effective than I thought, then absolutely my confidence would go up.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm just looking at this as more of just an alternative rather than a perfect example.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything that would cause your confidence to go down?
No.
So you're at 75 no matter what.
I think so.
Hmm. Do you think it's important for people to have ways to raise or lower their confidence about something?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's very I think it's a mistake just to go into election and automatically support something or someone, or without taking anything, without adapting to changing information.
Uh-huh.
And that's especially true when you're voting for a person.
Uh-huh.
Because, like I said, people change, and I
Right.
think it'd be a mistake just to assume you're going to support them no matter what. This, like I said, the reason why I'm more confident about this is because it's an initiative, and um, the results of which will not change between now and election day. The implications of which will not change between now and election day.
Okay. Okay. A couple more questions.
That's fine.
What is the best argument that you've heard against issue 1?
That it's not good enough, that it's not, that it may, the effectiveness of which, we don't know how effective it'll be. And that may be true, but I still think it's worth taking a chance with. I think it's worth putting the hands of this into a bipartisan commission instead of just whichever party has power in the state house, because then there's a chance that the process will be less political and less damaging to the democratic process.
Okay. Okay. So the best argument against passing issue 1 is that it doesn't do enough?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what someone would categorize as doing enough. I would have to see other proposals, but that would probably be the only effective argument that I would consider.
Because if issue 1 doesn't pass, that means the status quo remains.
Correct. And we can't have that.
Okay. So what's the best argument to keep things the way it is now? In other words, not passing issue 1.
I mean, if you favor the party in power and would rather them continue to disenfranchise certain constituencies to help their chances of keeping a majority, then I'm sure you could probably think of a few effective arguments. They're not going to change my mind because I personally don't care for the party in power, but that's the partisan in me. I'm trying to keep this as objective as possible, but, well, obviously we're talking about voting, so you can't be too objective, but that would be the only argument that may appeal to somebody. It's not going to appeal to me, but
Okay. All right. Why do you think those arguments are not good arguments?
because just because you support the party in power and their policies, that doesn't give you the right to disenfranchise other voters who may prefer something else. That doesn't give you the right to draw congressional districts like farm animals, so you're clearly excluding certain communities from having proper representation. That doesn't excuse building a district that's connected by a bridge, which is clearly just political maneuvering. Yeah, even if you support the party in power, I think it's very important that we have a process in changing our districts that is bipartisan, that is open-minded, and that is independent, frankly. I think anybody could support that, no matter where you lean politically.
And passing issue 1 gets you closer to that.
Correct.
Okay. And that's because it would be handled by people that are less biased politically?
Correct. Well, I'm sure, I mean, everybody has bias. Everybody, it's human nature. But this is more bipartisan. It's more independent. People from different sides of the political aisle are going to be chosen for this. It's a citizen-led commission. It's not a politician-led initiative. And that is why I think it will help out the people of Ohio.
Okay. So last question. Let's say issue 1 gets passed.
Correct.
And 4 years go by, and the party that you do not support has more power at the end of that. What would that mean for you?
I think that would mean that we're going to have to go back to work, and we're going to have to come up with a new alternative to bring before Ohio voters, one that would be more effective, more substantial, and
more effective.
We'll be doing exactly what we're doing now.
Okay, more effective in the candidates that you support being elected. It sounds like.
more effective in making the process more fair and more independent. So congressional
Okay.
districts are less partial
Okay.
toward a certain political party.
I see. So it sounds like even if the political party that you don't support got more power because of this, you would still support it because it would be more fair.
Well, if the political party in power got more power on account of this, simply because they were more popular and their policies were more effective, then I would understand the argument to retain uh, the status quo post issue one if it passed. Um, I don't see that happening, considering if you look at the majority in the state house right now, it's ridiculously favored toward one side. I don't think even if they were that popular, they would even retain that majority, in my opinion. If the data proves me wrong, I'm I'm I can adapt to changing circumstances, but I'm confident that that won't happen.
Okay. I know that I said that it was the last question, but I have one more.
That's fine. That's fine.
Crystal ball. We have this crystal ball, and you could see in the future that passing issue one caused the political party that you don't support winning more elections. Would you still work to pass issue one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. You have any questions for me?
Nope.
All right. Any feedback on how the process went?
No, I think this was fun.
Okay. Did you feel challenged?
No, I think this was a pretty civil discussion. I didn't feel confronted at all, and I was comfortable throughout.
Okay. All right. Because I consider it a success when someone maybe does feel a little bit challenged about their reasoning process.
Well, I would say I did feel challenged to an extent,
Okay.
but I didn't feel challenged. I didn't feel. I didn't.
You,
Yeah, I didn't feel challenged to the point that I was uncomfortable.
Okay.
But
okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping and
good to talk to you. Awesome.
Yeah, you as well.
Awesome.
If you want to, you can scan that QR code over by the whiteboard, and that takes you to my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Which is where these interviews show up.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. And good luck with your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys have a good day.
Yeah, you as well.
Okay.
Did you hear it from there?
Yeah, but I did stop listening halfway through. So.
Okay. I couldn't hear Jill very well.
Okay.
So maybe you can fill me in on how that went.
Yeah, it went pretty well. I thought of a question after, she left, but it looks like she was kind of expecting something different. So, that might be a problem there. But yeah, I think it's generally an interesting activity to do. And it was the question that I would have asked would have been, so there's this other candidate. She was saying that she was at 90% on her candidate, and that really there's nothing that could persuade her. There's nothing she could learn that would increase or decrease her confidence. And so I was asking her, like, let's say there's someone voting for the opposing candidate and they're also at 90% and they say the same thing, and I asked questions like, what would you think about that? Just more vague, but really what I was trying to get at was, I asked, like,
would you want them to be more open about
yeah,
it?
would you want them to, what do you think about that? Or like, do you like that? And she was like, no, I don't like it. But really what I should have asked was, why is it that you don't like that they're doing it, but you're doing it? How do you reconcile the discrepancy there?
Yeah. Why would you want them to change if you're not open to changing?
Yeah. Yeah, is ultimately what I was trying to get at. but I just didn't think of how to word it until she had already left. But what about your interview? How did it?
It was good. I was surprised at the last answer to the last question. If the initiative that they want to be passed caused the political party that they do not support win more elections, would he still be working to pass this? If he could look in the crystal ball and see in the future that passing this caused the other side to win more elections, would he still work to do it? And he said yes.
That's what I would have assumed. I would have been surprised at the opposite answer. But yeah, I can see it either way. Either way can be surprising. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I heard. And then I think I heard him say something about basically he's at 75% and there's nothing that can move him.
Yeah, and his explanation for that, as far as I understand, was that it's already written the way it is, so it's not gonna change.
Okay.
The way that it's written is it's already set in stone.
Okay.
And comparing that with a person that can change, like it's the difference between voting for someone versus voting for a proposition. People can change, but the proposition's not going to change.
Okay.
He said the only thing that would cause them to change is if they reworded it, which apparently in this process, it's already on the ballot or going to be on the ballot, or maybe that's what they're pushing for.
I think
With
it's
the
already
wording,
on the ballot, yeah.
Yeah, so its confidence can't change because the wording can't change.
Yeah.
Which was kind of an interesting. I don't think I've ever run into that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised by that answer.
Maybe a better way to have asked it, like, what would cause his support for the way it's. Yeah, support for it would go up or down.
Yeah.
I probably didn't ask the question the right way.
I think people are just unique, and sometimes they interpret it a different way than even what you say, or just mine's being an enigma,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is an interesting activity. It makes me want to do it more because it's like election season.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think might be missing from SE conversations is like kind of exigence, like reasons for actually having the conversations that people are motivated to have, usually it's just about anything, but it's like, we could be talking right now about, people's vote, and why they're voting. It's the perfect season for it and everything, but
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that was fun. Maybe we'll get another one, huh?
Yeah, it's, I think 3, so we got a little bit more time.
We're gonna have to drop these before the election, by the way.
We're gonna have to
For
drop
them
these.
to be
I was thinking
relevant.
the first one at least. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Maybe we'll have like a special Saturday where a bunch of them are dropped right before the election.
Have you been doing this the whole time? The elections?
No, this is the first time I've
done it. Okay.
I've done it this way with Benjamin. That was the first time that I had tried this particular experiment.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It's kind of a rendition on the hidden claim.
Yeah.
But it's focused on candidate.
Yeah, you actually, I think you have an opportunity here to actually like really expand your audience. Yeah, if you like get the right thumbnail and word it right. Yeah, I think because people will watch videos about politics around this time.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, if we went to Springfield, but it would be busy and it is heated and all that other stuff. So
yeah, something to think about.
Yeah.